What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Truth Podcast. I'm your host, Hany Rambod, and we have a very special guest today. We have, not only is he an IFBB pro, but he's an IFBB pro that's been top 5 at the Mr. Olympia in the 212 class several times. I have IFBB pro Derek Lunsford, who's here live from Tampa. Welcome, Derek.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's great because the big announcement is not only are you now the latest Evolog athlete, but you're also going to be working with me. That we've been working together now for going on about 6 or 7 weeks. And it's been something that has been crazy because we talked a couple years ago. I also know that you came by the booth a while back. I'll let people know a little bit of the backstory about how we talked a couple years ago. And then I also want to let everybody know that I'm excited because, again, you got a chance to use the products and we talked after the Olympia. But before going into that story, my thing is, how did you turn pro?
Yeah, so obviously I was competing in the NPC. I knew if I ever wanted to make it to the Mr. Olympia, I'd need to be an IFBB pro, and that's the only way is to be going through the NPC. So I started off at a local show in Indiana back in 2015. And then by 2017, I competed in the NPC USA Championships, where I won the overall title as Mr. USA. So that was a dream of mine for several years, as an amateur competitor. And
what did you weigh at that show? What did you weigh at that show?
So I just made the weight class of light heavyweight. So I made the 197 weight, and I probably was about 200 on stage.
Okay. And then you won the overall, you won your class and the overall. So you got the overall trophy, which is amazing. And again, for those of you that have not been to the USA, it is the most prestigious pro qualifier on the West Coast. It is something that everybody wants to be the USA champion. I mean, the nationals are great too, but I know on the West Coast, everybody was always aiming to become the USA champion, and Tamer and those guys and John Lindsay's had that show for many, many years. But at the end of the day, it's a great title to have. So you won that in 2017, and I know that you qualified right away for the Olympia, didn't you?
Yeah. So after winning the title of Mr. USA, I thought about it, and I already knew ahead of time that the Tampa Pro would be the next weekend. So for the 212 bodybuilding division, that was actually 6 days after turning pro. So I was like, you know what? Hey, let's go there. And I think we can battle with these guys. There's some really great competition there that, had competed before and been at the Olympia. And 6 days after turning pro, I actually won my pro debut and qualified me to go to the Mr. Olympia that year, where I placed 5th.
Awesome. So you ended up turning pro, and then less than a week later, you did your pro qualifier. I mean, I'm sorry, you did your pro debut, I should say. And then from there, how did you placed first, winning the 212 in Tampa, your hometown. So that was awesome. And then you ended up going to Vegas at the Olympia. God, probably a couple months later?
Right. Yeah. So to backtrack it just a little bit, 5 weeks before the USAs that year, I was training legs. We were training real hard. And I looked at my training partner, one of my friends I was training with at the time. I said, man, something tells me I'm training for the Mr. Olympia this year. And he's like, man, you're putting in the work. You look great, man. I see you on the Olympia stage. And it was just kind of like one of those, hey, we just crushed legs and we're confident, we're pumped up. And then we said it and we're like, all right, see you tomorrow. So, but that stuck with me for those next few weeks. And so as I went through the USA, I knew I had to win my pro card first. So I wasn't trying to get ahead of myself, put the cart before the horse, but I knew that the way that the shows lined up, that I could do USAs, I could go to the Tampa Pro 212 show, and then I could go to the Olympia. And if it all worked out, I could make it there. So yeah, within a short period of time, I go from being just an aspiring bodybuilder that was his dream was to be an IFBB pro to stepping on the Olympia stage. Quite a fast track that year. So
that's awesome, man. That's very few people end up, especially like less than a week later, you end up qualifying for the Olympia, and you got to do it. It's your hometown, so I'm sure you had a lot of friends and family there.
Actually, I'm from Indiana, so I started competing in Indiana. I went to school there. I grew up there. But when I went to the Tampa Pro, I was like, man, maybe I want to move to Tampa. That's when I decided maybe I want to move. And then I was like, I don't know about this humidity here. My tan's like running off me heading to the show. So I was like, maybe I don't want to move to Tampa. But then I fell in love with it, and that's when I moved.
Oh, okay. So you actually moved right around that time.
Yeah, it was about a year later or something like that. Just under a year later, I had an opportunity to move here and train down here. And there's just a lot more gyms. There's a lot more opportunity to get different equipment and things like that. So that's, plus the weather, is pretty nice here.
Yeah. And, nice enough. Tom Brady ended up there too. So you
hey,
guys,
man,
he followed you down.
And Brady, hey,
yeah.
Just saying, Super Bowl champs.
Yeah, you guys are doing really well. That whole area, I think you guys have been champs in multiple sports this year, right? This last 2020.
Yeah, and even the Tampa Bay Rays went to the World Series. So been a big year for Tampa, for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I mean, Tampa's a beautiful area. So going into it, I know that again, welcome to the Evogen team, because it's really nice having you, because we haven't really talked about that. Let's talk about going back in that history, because a lot of people go, hey, how do I become an Evogen athlete? How do I work with you? And now we're doing both. I'm both working with you, and you're also an Evogen athlete. And why don't we talk a little bit about the history of, him? I know that you had stopped by the Evogen booth a while back and everything else. Let's talk a little bit about that.
That story. I've told it to you a couple times now, and I love it. Yeah, just because you're asking, how do you become an Evogen athlete? How do you become one of Hany's athletes that he wants to work with? Well, I think you first have to have the belief in yourself and the passion to do this. So, back in 2016, I was far from being a pro bodybuilder, being on the Olympia stage. I mean, I had a lot of work to do, but I just felt compelled when I was at the Arnold Classic. I seen you at the Evogen booth, and I was like, let me just go talk to this guy real quick for just a minute. So just, it was funny at the time, but internally I had this belief in myself that, man, we would talk again one day. So I said, can you make me the next Mr. Olympia, basically, is what I asked you. And we kind of laughed about it, which at the time it was a kind of a comical thing. I had a lot of work to do.
Right.
The reason I came up was just because I was like, man, I know I'm gonna talk to this guy again one day, and it's gonna be for different reasons on a different level. So that's when we talked backstage at the Olympia this past year. That was the first thing I told you. I was like, remember that story when I came up to you at the Evogen booth? You're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the other thing that was really cool was that you went through, turned pro, and again, I saw you trying to get the coveted 212 title, and you were close a couple of times, went a little bit backwards last year, but at the same time, you've been learning your body, been, trying to get through that conditioning. I know has been an issue in the past. And I guess my thing is, like, fast forward to this last Olympia where the show was over, we were backstage, you came over and you started talking to me. And a lot of people don't realize, like, it's just random how sometimes we end up talking, like athletes will talk. And there's a couple of people were saying, hey, Derek, come over, talk to Hany. And I guess, let's talk a little bit about that story real quick, because that's how it kind of started, right? This conversation got a little bit more serious.
Yeah. Cause, obviously I have been working hard for that 212 title, and it just, not that I haven't brought a great package, but I just know there's another level that I can hit, another, you know what I mean? So if I'm not winning that 212 title, there's something more I could be doing. And even if I did win that 212 title, I know I could be better each and every day. So I was just kind of asking around, like, what do people are asking some of the judges, for example, what can I do, man? Like, what do I need to do? And they said, maybe you could talk to Hany. Maybe, I think he could suggest some things to you. He's had some great athletes in the past. And I said, well, he's always been in the back of my mind to work with him. So that's when we talked, and, we instantly kind of built a good connection, and we felt that we could work well together. So, that's why we've been working the last couple months now.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of people don't realize, whenever I bring on an athlete on Evogen team, if they want me to consider them to work together, the first thing I always do is say, hey, have you used the Evogen products? And that was one of the first things I said. And you're like, you know what, bro? I'll let you say it. You're like, no, I haven't. And I said,
You got to be honest, man. Yeah. I said, I haven't tried these before, but I would love to.
and basically I said, okay, well, I'm not down with really having anybody endorse my products until they actually believe in them, because you want to be passionate. You want people to really be passionate about your brand and the products and how they work, because my products are a bit different because they work within my system. They're designed for hyper volumizing to really create that big 3D look. And so it really goes really well together with a high volume training system, AKA FSD7, so that it works well together. And the thing that I asked, and I remember the staff asking me, they're like, oh my God, are you gonna work with Derek? I said, we're gonna see how it goes. I'm gonna give him to our product. Let's see how he does. I'm gonna give him some direction, see how that goes. And if it looks like he can execute on the training side and his body works well with the products, then we're gonna have a serious conversation about possibly bringing him on board. But he's got to use the products. He's got to make sure that they work well with him, because we don't want anything contrived. I need to get him round and big. And if it doesn't work for him for whatever reason, then that's, automatically do not pass go, do not collect $200. And then we're going to end up that conversation stops. And then, so I sent you the stacks and I said, okay, here's the extreme, here's the 3D, and here's the AQ. And I kind of taught you the system. And then I said, I want you to wrap this around the FSD7 training, and let's give this a go. And it's been about 6 weeks now?
Yeah, about 6 to 8 weeks that we've been working together. A couple weeks after the Olympia, it was the holidays, and we were just talking and stuff, and I was kind of doing my own training, just, post Olympia. But then right away we got together and we've been training working together ever since. So yeah, about 6 to 8 weeks. And we just started off, I think you had me doing just the EVP 3D along with the EVP Extreme NO. And that was plenty for me, man. Big pumps, a lot of energy, a lot of focus. And I hadn't even thrown on the AQ yet or the ice eject or nothing. So man. So I did a half a dose first. I was like, man, I don't know if it's as much as what Hany's saying, and I'm just going to take half. I took half and I was like, whew, I'm glad I only took that much. So.
Well, and I was trying to teach you the difference between pump and fullness, right? And again, this is something for all you guys listening, whether you're watching this on the YouTube or you're listening to us on the podcast. What you really want to understand is the difference between pump and fullness is that a company that's going to put together a pump product is going to get you pumped for half the workout, or maybe, the full workout. The fullness, which I incorporated the AQ, which has got 20 grams of glycerol along with S7 and some of the other ingredients that help stimulate the nitric oxide into kicking in and staying, basically also with hyper hydration of the glycerol. It works within a system, and this system is to keep you round and full. And as you know, I'm looking at you now and I'm like, you're looking pretty round and full right now, but it's along with the training and that's when I said, hey, you're going to start with just the 3D, the non-stim. We're going to stack it with the extreme, the stim, so that way you don't have to go too far overboard with the stimulant. And then we're going to add in the AQ. And again, it's all part of my system. I'm really wanting to see if you're going to be your body's going to take to the system. And if it does, great, we'll continue to keep the conversation going forward. And then all of a sudden you start sending me pictures and I'm like, okay, now we're talking. Now I'm like, okay, I've never seen you this round or this full. And the funny thing about it was that you're like, yeah, man, I haven't really told anybody that I'm working with you or signed with you. And I'm just, it's like, it's hard for me to kind of like, cause everyone's seeing the big difference. And I was laughing about that.
I know everybody keeps asking like, what are you doing? I'm like, just hold on. Give me a couple of weeks. I'll let you know. But no, man, I really liked how you explained the products to me though, as well. Like how, the real science behind it and everything, and how using the 3D, the non-stim pre-workout along with the Extreme NO, and then adding the AQ on. Cause I had some questions on the AQ. I had never used any product like that in the past. And I like how you explained it. You said it's kind of like a dam, keeping the muscles pumped and full and round long after, your training. And again, like at first we didn't use that, and you were like, all right, go ahead and throw it in as a half dose, just half a cap, 10 grams. And then, so I did that and I was like, oh man. So when I went to the full cap, it was fullness all day.
Yeah. And again, it was cool because I wanted to just show you what the different elements do, because that way everyone wants to say, hey, look, I want to go rep a brand, or I want to do this. You really better understand what you're repping. What makes the difference between the brand that you have and everybody else? And sometimes it's just, there's a lot of Me Too products out there. I don't believe in designing Me Too products. I started this brand 13 years ago because I wanted to make something that was completely different. I started it with a $70 non-stim pre-workout EVP, and it was $70 back in the day, a little bit less expensive now. But at the end of the day, it was just that. It was not the 1,3-dimethyl DMAA that was the #1 product on the market at the time, back in 2008. It was something else. It was completely something else. It was something about pump and fullness. And it was, So at the end of the day, I filled a gap because I wanted my athletes to be rounder and fuller. And to minimize constriction, I wanted to make sure that I maximize blood flow. And so obviously with some of the products back then, they did a lot of constriction. It was just making you feel like you were a big beast, but it really didn't do anything in terms of athletic performance. So I wanted you to get that feeling of fullness and staying full. And when you told me that, you're brushing your teeth and your arms would get pumped up, or,
washing my back, my shoulders like this, I'm like, oh my God, I just hit chest. So yeah, man, to be honest with you, I think I called you up, or I sent you a message after that first day I used it. And I was like, man, I said, is this okay? Like, is it good that this pump, I'm training arms and I can hardly even like contract my biceps anymore? And you're like, that's perfect. That's great, man. Like, you know what I mean? That pump, that fullness, that's exactly what we want. So I was like, man, I don't know if I've ever felt like that before. I don't know, man. I would just, I know right away when you were suggesting, hey, do it like this, let's do it in increments. I figured there must've been a reason why, but I'm noticing the effects now. So
yeah, it's just better to understand what each one of the products do instead of throwing 6 products at you and saying these all work. And obviously I designed all these products for prep, but for me to be able to sit down and get you to understand them, I wanted to do them in segments so that you can turn around and say, okay, well, now I know what the 3D and the Extreme do. And then this is what the AQ does. And then recently you've been introduced to Evolog and how you can add that in to help with your digestion and your cheat meals, and glyco. And then we just started adding in the glyco. and then as your weight started to climb.
That definitely, the glycoject, that's definitely been one that's helped me with actual performance in the gym too, as well. Like I noticed a huge skyrocket, and the fact that it was almost like if I did it pre-workout, I was ready to rock and roll right away. If I did it like intra workout, then, it's kind of like that extra boost during training for me to get those extra heavy reps mid workout. So yeah, man. Thankfully I get to use that. Hopefully you'll keep that in my stack for as long as possible.
Yeah, we're going to keep
Sometimes you got to pull that out though. I feel like,
yeah, you do.
A show, so.
Absolutely. Any carbohydrate, we're going to play around with that with high days and low days. And we can actually talk about that as we get ready for the Olympia. So right now, with the fact that you've been able to do this and then adding in some of the FST7 training, how's that been going on with the training portion of it? Again, combining the two.
Well, I should have mentioned that when I was talking about the arm pump, because that's exactly what we did. We did the preload with the biceps and triceps with FST7, along with, of course, the 3D and Extreme. So I should have mentioned that ahead of time. But yeah, man, I've noticed that it's just a different stimulus, right? Like we can add more weight, or we can do a different training style, different training stimulus. And this is something that I haven't been doing for many years. So throwing that back in and getting either a huge pump and pre-exhausting ahead of time, or throwing it in at the end and just murdering whatever body part, whether it be quads or back or chest, whatever. So I've noticed that the FST7 sets have definitely helped with the pump and the fullness of the muscle, rather than just going in and slamming big weights, maybe 6 to 8 reps or 8 to 10 reps. Rather, we would, bump the reps up to 15, like you suggested, and doing back-to-back sets of that real intense big pump set. So I don't know. I like it. It's been kicking my butt, but I enjoy it. I like getting better, and whatever it takes to get better.
Yep. And again, these are just the infant stages. I mean, this is just really, believe it or not, this is just I don't want to say it's a downtime, but it's not really, because this is post Olympia. It's been going on, what, 2 months since the Olympia?
They just announced the Olympia for this year being in October. So I think we're like 31 or 32 weeks away.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, we got plenty of time to improve.
Yeah. And you're going to basically get together and be able to do that. And the great part about it is now you're in a place where gyms are still open. So that's the great thing about it. You know, you saw Andre out there, one of the team members out there.
Yeah, that was ironic, right?
Yep. You saw Andre out there, and Andre had just came in from Dubai at the time. And it's funny because I just talked to Andre just a couple hours ago, and he's going to be heading back out there, I think, just because the two places where you can train and shoot content is Florida and Dubai. It's pretty much where everybody seems to be going, you know? Florida and Dubai. I mean, Texas too. I think Texas, you know, the gyms are pretty much open, but for the most part, with the weather being the way it was in Texas, I think most people want to be in Florida or Dubai. But yeah, you got to see him.
This is definitely a great spot to be. And yeah, I said it's ironic because I really don't train too often in that gym, and I was not expecting him to walk in. And I was finishing up my leg training, and he was just starting. I just said, hey, man, like, I don't want to bother you because I know how I am when I'm training. I like to be focused and serious. And, no big deal, man. So we caught up for just like a minute or two. I said, all right, I'm out of here. See ya. Have a good workout. But we exchanged numbers, and he was a good dude, man. I could just tell right away he's a solid guy. So yeah, hopefully we'll get some leg training in.
You hear that? So for all of you guys who love torturing Andre as much as I do,
especially with legs,
because I honestly think that Andre could be a men's classic physique competitor if, you know, he had legs, and his legs have improved a lot since we started working together. But what I really want to see is in the comments below, if you would love to see a video of Derek and Andre doing legs. So our 212 athlete, along with our men's physique athlete, Andre, you can run, but you can't hide.
I'm gonna make it happen.
Yes. You can't just go to Dubai and try to hide. We'll send Derek there too. And then what we'll do is then I'll come out, and then we'll get Hany too. And then you and Hany and Andre should train legs.
I like it.
Andre was possibly leaving to go to Bali, he said, for some kind of event. I don't think he would come back if he found out about that. He'd be like, I'll see you at the show in Orlando.
Too nice in Bali anyway, right? You wouldn't want
yeah.
train legs? Are you kidding me?
Oh man, but we love torturing them. So in the comments section below, let us know if you think that that we should do a video with Derek and Andre. I think so. I think I should train them both in legs, and we can see how Andre does, because we love torturing Andre. But
you got to give him credit though, man. He's got a big upper body, so I know what you're saying about if he puts some legs on, man. Not that he has bad legs or anything. I mean, I seen the guy working hard in there the other day, so it'd just be fun, man. Two guys that really are passionate about training, getting together. I mean, come on, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and honestly, his legs have improved quite a bit, and he's got really good leg shape. He just had an injury a long time ago in his knee, and that's one of those things that kind of held him back for a little while. But he's definitely motivated because he's been training legs twice a week right now. And again, his upper body is so good that we got to be careful not to get it to be too good, because at for that category, you don't want to end up pushing over that limit.
That's some big arms, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you were surprised. I was a little surprised seeing him in person, how big he really is.
I did a double check, and I was like, is that him? Because he was a lot bigger than I was expecting. Okay, all right. Must be doing something right.
There you go, Andre. But it's in the intensity of Hany would be really, really good. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. If you can make that happen, we can all make that happen. I would love to do that. So
yeah.
Said, hey, you're all always welcome here, man. Tampa, Florida, that's the place to be.
Absolutely. Like I said, I'm jealous because we still are waiting for the gyms to open up here in California. So only outdoors still available. We're like any day now, hopefully we'll start getting at least maybe 10 or 25% capacity inside the gyms. So you're definitely in a really good spot. I think overall, I do want to let everybody know what we are going to be doing is we're going to be doing series with all of our athletes, but going into the Olympia, but in particular with the fact that we have the ability to now have, we have literally some content that's already been shot the last couple of weeks that you're going to start seeing on the Evolog channel. So if you're interested in seeing that, then definitely you want to subscribe over to the Evolog channel. And it's been great because I'm looking forward to seeing how three-dimensional we can get you. I mean, already you've been growing like a weed, and I'm super excited because, the roundness and fullness. If you guys are listening to this, you definitely want to go take a look at the YouTube, because I think you'll notice how impressive, Derek has gotten just in the last 6 to 8 weeks that we've been working together. And I think that what I'm excited about is seeing what the additional improvements are. And people always ask me, well, what do you see? Even the staff, right? Because the staff's obviously known that, hey, look, what do you see with him? Where do you see the improvements coming in? And obviously, the number one improvement we want is your conditioning the last month, that try to get that really more detail, more separation that we think you're capable of to show off, more of the three-dimensionality of your physique. But right now it's just building your legs, your back, your chest, your shoulder roundness, and getting it to the point where you're really starting to pop more. And I think that three-dimensionality, which I've always been, trying to work on with all of my athletes through the 25 years I've been doing this, 25 plus years I've been doing this, is something that I really look forward to seeing on your physique. Cause you're what, 27?
Yeah, I'm 27. Yep.
27 years old. So, and you've been pro now for 4 years. You've been pro this summer would be 4 years that you've been pro. And I think that at this point now, you have a good base. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to make Derek stronger. And as we're getting him stronger, remember with the FSC7 training protocol, it's about getting him stronger, but also using that strength to be able to use high volume to be able to actually continue to grow into getting rounder. So I think that again, I'm super stoked because it's something that I feel that I've already seen so much of a difference in the last 6 weeks in your physique. So again, guys, this is going to be a fun thing. You're going to want to definitely follow Derek on his Instagram page. We'll put the link below, as well as mine. I'm going to go ahead and start putting a lot more content out there. I've been working really hard on some of these new products that are going to be coming out to you. You're going to be testing them out along with, I just sent some to Hany, and actually Andre just got some samples today. So some of the new stuff is going to be coming out to you in the next couple of days as well.
Awesome.
Again, that's something I've been jammed up with since the beginning of the year. I've been focusing with my head down on all these new products that we're getting ready to launch. But yeah, so for those of you that keep asking, if you want to become an Evogen athlete, please go to evogennutrition.com. Feel free to try to sign up. Or if you're a coach that wants to be affiliated with Evogen, we're bringing people on. Paul, the athlete manager and the affiliate marketing manager, is really on top of it. So he's getting back to people very quickly. And I want to say thank you to everybody around the world that's been super supportive of us, even during this tough time with pandemic and everything else that's been going on, and supporting our brand. I mean, it's been so crazy with supply chain issues. We have labels and lids and everything that were, back ordered. You're starting to see some different colors of lids that we've been using. Normally we use blue. Sometimes we're using white. We're using dark blue. So whatever we can get to be able to get these products out. So this podcast turned into a little bit of an Evogen type of infomercial. So I apologize for that. But at the end of the day, this is something that we're working on together, and I'm looking on, forward to working on getting these products developed with my athletes, through my athletes, and making sure to see what this cool journey is going to be all about, getting ready for the 2021 Olympia in October. So, and for those that don't know, and this is the first you're hearing about it, it has been announced back in Orlando, the second weekend of October. Dan Solomon and the team has announced that the Olympia is back in Florida. So back in Orlando, 2 months sooner. So for those that thought that it was going to be at the end of December again, no, it's 2 months sooner. So you got 8 less weeks to prep. So it's just, but I mean, obviously you're doing a good job because you already went right out of the gate.
Well, we took advantage of the last 8 weeks. So I think we're in a good spot right now. One thing that I did want to mention, and like you said, this is not supposed to be like an Evogen infomercial, but I really enjoy the Eva Greens and the Eva Vite. I've been using those since the Olympia, and I really enjoy not just the fact that I feel a lot better using them, but I really like that chocolate one, the Eva Greens chocolate.
Yeah, you mix that with a protein, the chocolate protein?
Yeah, I mix that with the chocolate protein, and that's perfect. So
yeah,
because I mean, coming off of an Olympia prep, you're really running your body into the ground, so you're training hard and everything, and so that was one thing that I added that I knew. I gave it a couple of days just to make sure that it actually was the product itself that made me feel better. And I really enjoy taking that one. So I wanted to make sure that, for all the viewers out there and anybody that follows me, it's not just about the pump and the blood flow, but it's also the health aspect too, which is very important to me. So.
Yeah. And guys, I mean, again, we haven't talked about Evogen during this podcast since it's been out. It's just been something that we just talked about because of the fact that we have Derek on board, and everybody's been asking me about, hey, when are you going to start bringing on new athletes? And just so you know, we are bringing athletes around the world now, where in the past it was a lot of US based. So I want to also get a quick chance to be able to say, Sunit in India, welcome aboard. We brought him on board 3-4 months ago. Mohammed Fuda, looking forward to getting him on the podcast because his English is getting so good. Mohammed Fuda, he's a good friend of Big Rammy, but his English has gotten so good that I really want to get him on there. I know he's going to be a little hesitant, and he's gonna be like, coach, I don't think it's a good idea, but it's, Mohammed has been growing, and he's been with me now for like the last 3 months, and I really have seen some improvements with him. And Mohammed, if you're listening to this, you are ready to be able to get on the podcast. I know you're going to feel a little bit shy or a little bit intimidated or a little bit nervous, but you're going to do a great job because I can't wait to see you in person. He is from Egypt, Mohammed Fuda, and he lives in Dubai, and seeing some really great things with our athletes. And he turned pro in 2019 in the open category. So he's in that process of building up his back and some of his other body parts so that he can be competitive in the open category in the next couple of years. So looking forward to getting out to Dubai and training with him. But you should be coming with me too if we end up going back to the Dubai muscle.
I'm down.
Get back and seeing everybody out there. So again, guys, sorry if this was long-winded. I'm super looking forward to seeing everybody, and I'm just stoked. I'm just stoked because I've had my head down in the last couple of months working super hard with the team here at Evogen, and now being able to see these great results with Derek on the training side and the supplement side, and taking it to the next level. So let us know what you guys like to see. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and again, follow Derek on his Instagram page. I want to say thank you, Derek. Looking forward to working with you, man. Welcome to the team.
I appreciate it, man. This has been something I've been excited about for several years, and this is the year, man. It's the year to make it happen. So we're gonna do it. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So, Hany Rambod, Derek Lunsford, and that's the truth.